Good morning. This is Inside the News. My name is Chesley Hamilton, and I am here with the quintessential one here on winnfm 98.9. Good morning to all who are listening via whichever medium, whichever platform, whichever portal. Good morning to you, wherever you are in the world. It's what's the date of today? Today is the 6th, Saturday the 6th of September 2025, and we are here every other Saturday. Unfortunately, I will be celebrating a birthday next weekend, and I'm traveling, and I don't think I'll be back to meet my appointment the following Saturday with you. So I'm giving you advance notice, advance warning that yes, I do celebrate a birthday in September. It's the 13th, and I do believe I'll be traveling and won't be in a position to host the program on the week of the 20th. So weekend of the 20th. So therefore, I'll have someone try to sit in for me. What's in the news?
Well, I'm sure you've heard it being bandied around. Everything is about land on Nevis, land on St. Kitts, 500 acres on Nevis, 700 acres on St. Kitts, land at the Fort Thomas, people on, it's all about land.
Yes. Let me give you, it's all about land and it's all about elections. There was an election in Jamaica. The Jamaica Labour Party has been returned for an unprecedented, to some extent, third term. It's unprecedented for the Jamaica Labour Party. The only other party that won three consecutive, or the person who won three consecutive contested elections was P.J. Patterson, and that was for the PNP party, and now Andrew Holness has been elected for a third consecutive term. And then there was elections as well in Guyana, and the Guyana government has been returned of President Ali, and therefore I haven't heard the official results, just the preliminary results, but the government was celebrating and claiming victory there, and I would say it was said to be overwhelming, not a close one where you may have something that reached the CCJ or anything like that. So I am just bringing those two things from the regional standpoint, and to say congratulations to those who won, and those who did not win as well. Democracy depends on participation, and participation includes the right to vote and the right not to vote. Okay, and
I'm glad
people say, "Oh, the turnout is only this percentage and that percentage." Once you have a choice, if you have a choice to vote, you have a choice not to vote.
I'm glad you included that last not to vote.
There are people who don't. There's some people who don't understand that. You understand?
Yeah.
If you have a choice, the choice is you have a choice to vote or a choice not to vote. And everybody gets on you when you say, "I am not voting," or "I choose not to vote." Once it's a decision that you've come to, no one is putting a gun to your head until you don't go out to vote. And an abstention carries the vote. What I don't want you to do is, when there is a government, then start to say, "Well, I didn't vote, so no." You voted by not going to the poll. You see, many times it's 1 minus 1 plus,
Yeah.
By you weren't able to be a plus, you end up being a minus. It's first past the poll, and therefore it is your decision how you're going to cast it for someone, against someone, or you're not going to have it counted towards whether the person who lost or the person who won. So therefore, your non-vote carried the vote of those who voted. So I just want you to know that that is a factor in a democracy, and especially when first past the poll, meaning that who gets one more than the other end up getting all the spoils, all the, when you win, you win, when you lose, you lose.
Yeah.
And yes, you're supposed to govern on behalf of all the people, but you have all the power to do that. It's not that it's a sort of a proportional representation. So the person who got, the minority get the minority amount of seats or something like that. No, 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 no. If I get one more in every constituency, I get all the seats. So it's an overwhelming majority, and the other side has to wait until there is a next time. So there's that. Independence is in the air, and CPL is in the air. Independence is in the air. Last time we were on, I think we spoke something about CPL, and then we got Richard Berridge called in and told us about the owner saying that it's a rumor that he's moving to Grenada, and he did an interview on another radio station where he said that, and it's good to hear that, and I hope that that is the case. I still have some questions with the Patriots, and I would like to ask the tough questions of the Patriots. The Falcons, when you look at the Falcons, you see Antiguans playing. When you look at Barbados, there are at least some young Barbadians playing. There are some young St. Lucians playing for the St. Lucia Kings. So is all the other teams. But we could only muster one person playing from the two feeder teams of St. Kitts and Nevis, and I think we can do better. We have a young wicketkeeper in Nevis. I understand it's Carl Tuckett's son. He's capable of being part of the breakout. He's playing on the 19 cricket and so on. I think that he can be part of the Patriot setup. We have other people who could be part of the. We should at least, for our investment, have at least 4 people from the Federation. We give the Patriots good support, and we don't just have one island or one team that feeds the Leeward Island team in this Federation. We have 2. Antigua has 1, the Antigua cricket team, and Antigua has more than 4 players playing for the Antigua team, plus Alzari Joseph elsewhere and other people elsewhere. We believe that this Federation has enough cricketers, enough young talent, that we can have more than the 2 Louis brothers being part of the squad. And I say being part of the squad because they're not getting the opportunity to play regularly. So I am calling on the Patriots when I see what is happening, and the team isn't overwhelmingly producing, so that you could say, well, because the team is producing, we can't afford to blood the young talent. I beg to disagree, and I will debate anyone about the selfishness at the top of our order, etc. So that's enough for CPL and cricket. Independence is coming up, and I know that we've been wearing certain colors. I think last week was green, this week is the red. Going down every weekend, it's a different color. I think next weekend it's going to be yellow or gold, and then the following weekend is white. What I want to open the lines and speak to you about is a bit of chromaticism, and you're going to say, what does mean? Chrome. When you talk about anything that is chrome, you're talking colors. And when you're talking about red and green and black and white and yellow and so on, it's part of the chromatic spectrum. So therefore, I want to talk a bit about that when it comes to our flag. And specifically, the 2 stars. Are the 2 stars white? Because if they're white and not silver or not some other color, I have a problem with what they are symbolizing. And this is Chesley. Don't tell me I'm nitpicking. We have to know how we are educating our people for longevity. And sometimes when you criticize certain things, you can say, well, the flag came in on a palm and it's a palm. No. This is about St. Kitts and Nevis. This is more than 40 odd years. Sometimes what you know then, you don't know now. Sometimes your education, your understanding, your evolution, and you bring different things to the discussion. I am told that the two stars, white, symbolize hope and liberty. I need to open a discussion on that. If the white in our flag symbolize hope and liberty, Chesley O'Neill Hamilton, I ain't telling you Quint, I ain't telling you anybody else. I am basically willing to stand alone on this.
Well, you're not
this is not a
standing
political
alone.
position.
You're not
This is not a
standing
PAM position. This is not anybody else. This is Chesley O'Neill Barker Liko Hamilton saying, white cannot symbolize hope and liberty in my national flag.
Recently, I spoke on that, and I said it should be gold or something like that, or yellow. Or,
See, I didn't even know that, Quint.
yeah, I spoke to it.
Great. I'm
Because
glad that you said that.
If it is white, you see, but people are going to say, well, you're being controversial.
And don't say nothing. Don't say something can change. We're thinking about going into into a republic. I don't mind if somebody is suggesting that when we reach to the state of a republic, that is a good time for the evolution. You understand? But we are growing up. We are in our 40s now. Are we going to reach 50 at that point in time? We need to move the shackles of colonialism from our brain and our understanding. The days when you talk about white being pure and white being, white as snow and all those kind of things, and black being bad, that is poor chromaticisms. There cannot be anything that is black, that is bad and wrong if I am a black man. It means Chesley is a bad man. So black cannot mean bad. Black cannot mean wrong. These poor chromaticisms are part of the racist adage in our language. That is why you're being caught red-handed, like a red Indian. Okay? That is why you're being blackballed, like a black man. Okay? Don't blacken my name, the black sheep. Okay? Black ball.
Yeah.
Okay? Yellow. And yellow was referring to the Chinese and the Asian. So you yellow belly, yellow fever. Okay? I'm just showing you how chromaticisms affect the language negatively, but it's a white lie.
But Chesley...
it's a white lie. It's white color. You see, anything that is white is said to be good and pure and all of those things. And anything that is black or red or yellow, along with the people, is bad, negative, ill. A yellow dog contract. You know what's a yellow dog contract? It's a contract that the Chinese people took because the white people didn't want it. It's almost like union busted. I am simply saying to you, when this adage form part of your psychology, form part of your thinking, that is what Bob Marley is singing about when he said, liberate your mind from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Okay? I want to free the future generation from the thought that the white in the flag can mean hope and liberty. We ain't gonna hope in them. Our hope got to be in ourselves. If it was even silver, and you said, well, there's a silver lining to that dark cloud, not to the black cloud. Listen to what I say, the dark cloud. Okay? The silver lining. If it was a silver star, I could understand what you're trying to echo, what you're trying to communicate. But it can't.
But
Chesley Hamilton says.
like I was saying, you surprised me though, Chesley, because I didn't expect this coming from you. I mean, I didn't know that you were prepared to walk this out on the edge when it comes to black consciousness and that kind of stuff. So, I'm glad it's not coming from just me. That much I can say, but I agree with everything that you said.
Quinta, I'm a bald rasta, yeah. Because I wear a cowboy hat. Okay? I was in school when a professor of mine said to me that rastas aren't political.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a Jamaican woman teaching Caribbean studies at the college.
Hmm.
I don't remember her name at this moment, but I could look it up. And I said to her, I disagree. I beg to disagree. That's how I would speak. I beg to disagree. And she asked me, what am I saying? I said, well, the most significant political event in Jamaica in the 1970s was the Bob Marley Peace Concert, where he brought Edward Seaga and Michael Manley on stage to shake hands and ask people to put down the guns and that there should be peace in Jamaica. The political rivals who were shooting one another in the street over colors, over different things. That has to be political. She had no choice but to agree with me.
Well, we have a caller waiting. You want to entertain that individual?
Certainly.
Go ahead,
I want to get
caller.
participation. I don't just want to be pontificated.
Yeah.
Good morning, Chesley. Good morning, Quinn.
Good day.
Good morning, how are you?
Really and truly, I would have liked to join you today, but I have an appointment a little later. And didn't want to
Well,
walk
I'm
out.
begging you to come and host in 2 weeks' time, on the 20th.
20th of September. Yeah, I'll be here. Yeah.
It's a public appeal. There's no secret.
Okay. I am sure in your more romantic days.
I'm not hearing you
Maybe it should
well.
happen.
Could you put up my volume there a bit?
I'm saying I'm sure in your more romantic days, and you may still be enjoying those. I'm sure. You've laid down, whether in the car or a field somewhere, and gaze up at the at the stars. What color do they appear to you?
Chesley and colors don't get along, so you could continue.
They appear to be gold. They appear to be gold to me.
Really?
Yeah, gold or silver.
Well, I'd say it's closer to silver. You don't want
Okay.
to say white, but
Okay.
I'd second for you saying silver, I suppose.
Silver. The shiny twinkling sort of color. Whatever that color is, that's what they appear to be.
But it's against a black sky, and so what it looks like. You see, the point I'm making is it may be much ado over nothing. Maybe the designer of the flag,
I hear you.
of the flag, maybe the designer of the flag just thought in those terms where stars signify, the stars themselves, right, signify the hope and the liberty in terms of well, first of all, the distance, and then how it actually appears is white because of the black background.
I hear you. I
And
hear you,
it has
Mr.
nothing-
Moga,
and it
and I
has
know
absolutely
I am
nothing to
interjecting.
do.
But so does the sea. The sea appears to be blue, but if you go down there and you take up a cup, it is not.
That's a
Right.
good point.
Right? It is not.
Yes.
So it appears to
Right.
be. So you can define it as turquoise, a great trinity of islands set in an azure sea. You could be azure. You understand? You could decide whether the sea is green, blue, or azure. You see how much you have to play with? I am
Yes,
simply
yes,
saying
but
it is
what
not
I'm
the
saying,
fact
and-
of the color. It is what you define the symbolism of the color as. And you're moving that forward in the psyche of people yet unborn. It
But I'm
cannot
saying,
signify
but,
liberty.
but I'm saying that it is not so much about the color as it is about the stars themselves. What stars
I like
represent.
that. I like that. And that is
Okay?
why you have conversation. I like the fact that you're saying the stars. But that is why I asked the issue of chromaticisms. Are the stars silver? Are the stars, leave the stars in the design. I'm not interfering with the design. Leave the stars. I am simply saying if it's white, white cannot symbolize hope and liberty. That's my
No,
that
but it symbolizes.
my
Listen,
critique
you'd
is
be,
a
you'd be
chromatism.
hard pressed.
Is a
You'd be hard pressed.
purely
You'd be-
poor. The word poor, chromatic
Represent.
representation. Poor.
But I'm saying, and I'm saying, it would be, you would be hard pressed to tell people that the sea is not blue. Okay?
Not justly.
They're not going to go into the depth, and that's why I say it might be overthinking this a bit. They're not going to go into the depth of the fact that if you take a cup of a cup and dip it into the seawater and then pull it out, it doesn't look blue. That is not.
It appears to be blue.
That distinction.
But listen to me.
Difficult.
I make a living, Mr. McCoy. I make a living addressing juries. The state has to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. It is for them to prove. They tell you the sea is blue and don't prove it. Because I'm going to tell you, when you go down there and take up a cup, you realize it is not blue. They have not proven to you that the sea is blue. It's not for me to prove. He who alleges must prove. So if you say the sea is blue, prove it.
Not only that.
Not only that, but if you tell me that everywhere on earth has east, west, north, and south. Hold on, let me get this point across. If you tell me everywhere on earth has east, west, north, and south, I am going to tell you, prove that too. Because there are two places on earth, the North Pole and the South Pole, where there are no east and west. Everything at the North Pole is south. And everything at the South Pole is north. So there are two places on earth where there's no east and no west. I'm just showing you, you can't say things that you can't prove. I will go even further and you said to you, if the state said to you that this person walked on water, you don't just close your mind and say, only Jesus Christ walk on water. Because on earth, water has three states: gaseous, liquid, and solid. So let the state bring me a picture showing me somebody walking on solid water, which is ice, a frozen lake, a video, something. They have to prove it. I am simply saying to you, that is the world that I exist in. I am not trying to say this like it is I'm just talking hot air. This is serious because it's part of the psychology of decolonizing your mind.
And Mr. McMahon, your statement that the star is white is not correct also, because depending on when you look at the sky, depending on what time of the year, I can assure you see stars that look golden. But I'm going to go further. We have a star in our proximity that when you look at it, it does not look white. It looks golden. And that is the sun. And that is the sun.
I am not talking about reality. Hold on. I am talking about perception.
But I'm speaking about perception too.
Perception we're dealing with.
No, listen. If I ask you to draw a picture of a starry sky, you would probably put in the black background white. I am betting you that you would not put brown or yellow or any other color. I'll go further to answer Chesley's point, right? Chesley, you talk about proof, okay? And we know that very few things are absolute on earth. Everything, again, depends on perception. If I, as proof, selected 10 people at random, okay, and asked them to go outside and look at the sea and tell me what color it is, and come back and tell the court what color it is. If I ask them to look up in the sky and tell me what color the sky is, right? Let's say it's a clear day, right? What would you regard that as proof? If all 10 of them come back and say, well,
No.
the sea is blue,
No, because
you would not regard that as proof.
because proof is fact. As Chesley says, when you dip up a cup of the sea and you look at it, is it blue?
I said that, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
What something appears to be doesn't mean that makes you feel sure. It doesn't mean that it makes the standard. However, the jury is right until overturned. But I'm simply telling you, it is for me to say to them, they haven't proven it to you beyond a reasonable doubt. They have not proven it to the standard. It may appear, just like blood appears to be red, and the scientist is trying to tell you that blood is red.
Okay, Chesley.
I'm just simply telling you these things. Just like the earth appears to be flat.
And I'm simply
Hold
saying-
on.
I'm
The
simply saying-
earth appears to be flat, and the scientist is telling you it is not. I am simply telling you what something appears to be. So because something might even, and I'm going to go with you now, taking your argument at its highest, because something might appear to be white doesn't mean it is white. And I am simply saying, if you have a choice to define something for the liberating and the mental projection of your people's aspiration, you can do better.
Okay, and I'm saying, Chesley, that you're overthinking this, and that
I like that phrase.
you're introducing things in here that are so esoteric as to be really should not be considered. Because
I like that.
Why
bigger
not?
fish-
I like what you're saying.
But
bigger
why
fish.
not?
Listen
I
to
like
me.
what he's
There
saying,
are
because-
there are bigger fish to fry than something like this.
Okay.
Right? Leave our flag alone. Leave our flag alone.
I don't
Okay?
agree with you, and thank you for that contribution.
Okay, you don't have to hang up as yet.
I have an issue. I also have an issue.
Mr. McCall, that is the same thinking, right, that you find in Titus 2:8. When it says slaves obey your masters, leave that alone. It's in the Bible.
No. If it's one.
Why do you want to liberate
who
those
don't
black
believe in
people?
This slave master thing is me, right? But I.
There's
also
some
acknowledge-
things you have to change.
I
You have
also
a duty
acknowledge
to
the fact-
improve the
Yes, but
discourse.
you could also
You have a
confuse in
duty
your-
to
in your-
improve the discourse. If you know
carrying
better,
out your
you just
duty-
can't leave
Ches-
things alone just
Che-
because
Chesley, sometimes-
because it is so-called esoteric.
Chesley, sometimes you
carrying
should
out your duty to
sometimes you should let him speak because.
Sorry.
Go ahead,
in
Mr.
carrying out your duty to improve, you also sometimes can confuse, and that's the last thing we want, right? I think that's the last debate we should be having, because there are bigger fish to fry, okay? More things that are highly critical to our short time on earth, our actual day-to-day existence, than something like this.
Okay,
That's-
Mr. McMahon, listen to this. Again, it's all about perception. The closest star in our proximity is the sun. Will you agree?
Yes.
Okay. When you look at the sun, what color do you see?
Well, again, you see there again, it obviously depends on when you look at it. When you look at it as sundown, for instance, it look orange. It can
Okay.
look orange, right? If you look at it midday, if you dare to look at the sun midday, right, it's probably going to look bright white.
No,
Bright white,
no,
or bright
no.
yellow or white.
Oh, bright yellow.
Okay.
Because have you
Blinded-
ever
blinded-
have you
blinded
ever
also.
heard in any literature the sun referred to as white? You've heard the golden sun, the yellow sun,
Right.
but never referred to as white because it is not white.
Okay, right.
Okay,
That's
so
not the reason. That's not the reason. That's not the reason, though. Most people can't look at the sun directly, anyhow. Okay?
You're right.
But what I'm saying, to be quite honest, what I'm saying is that it's kind of, you're assigning a kind of weight to this, which I don't think
No,
is necessary.
we're just making people think, because Chesley didn't just make
Well,
the statement,
well,
you know. Being the lawyer that he is, he did not just make the statement. He validated why he made the statement.
I am,
Because
but I'm
historically,
suggesting, I'm suggesting that yes, you want people to think, right? But there's so many things that they need to think about, they need to be thinking about, that they don't. And it's very important that you direct their thinking to what really should be important. When we leave it, and you may say, well, it's democratic to leave it, or it's all about freedom when you leave it to people to think what they want, about what they want, that's fine. But it also leads to consequences, and it also leads to the same kind of slavery that you think about, because while they're thinking other things, while they're thinking dancing, and somebody came up with this thing, independent dancing, for independence,
yeah.
while they're there dancing, independent, okay, they're being enslaved,
Yes.
and they
that is
don't
true.
realize it.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm saying that what we should be directing the people, I agree that we should be showing people how to think. When I say showing people how to think, I don't mean propaganda or mind control or anything like that.
Yes.
But at least let them see that they should direct their thoughts on things that some things are more important than others. Put it that way.
Okay,
And we
Mr.
really should be directing our
Okay,
thoughts
but
to
listen
ones
to
that are
this.
more
But
important.
listen to this. Did you listen to Chesley when he started?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you aware of that word called psychology?
Yes.
Okay. So you think that after 400 years, our people, a majority of our people's tendency to think, black people's tendency to think that black is inferior, is a happenstance, that it just came out of thin air?
No.
Okay, so that is what Chesley was saying. Chesley was saying, and I agree with him 100%, even though I hear what you're saying, we're saying that it is about time that we look at things in an evolving way. Because he's saying, okay, if you put it there and you represented it as white, I myself, this is him speaking, cannot accept it as white is a hope for me as a black person. And then he went on to speak about blacklisting, blackballing, all of the negative connotations to all the other colors but white. And again, I refer you to, and again,
I would like to see you, because remember that strip is black, eh? So I would like to see you.
Which
put the
strip?
representation of
Which strip?
The
in the
strip
flag,
in the flag.
Yes,
where the white is placed.
yes.
Okay, right. You see, because to me it reflected more the sky than anything else. But anyway, how would you represent
What reflected the sky?
hope, and
What
liberty
reflected the sky?
in that strip there, in that black strip?
The black reflect the sky, you're saying?
No, not in the context of the flag. It's obviously people. But what I'm saying is, how would you reflect the what you want to reflect? You don't want white. What color can you put inside there that would better represent hope and liberty?
We can say gold or silver.
I'll tell you why
I'm
white
not
is.
sure how you
I'll
represent-
also
I don't-
add
I'm
to
not sure how you
add to the
represent
conversation by
silver.
telling you, if
How
you
you
say
represent
the
silver.
symbol
Mr.
for surrender.
McMahon, let Miss. I don't want two of you
Okay,
speaking.
go ahead,
at
go
the
ahead,
time.
go ahead, go ahead, Mr. Mungo.
No, I was wondering how you'd represent silver in as a color. Okay, it might create some chromatic problems. Put it that way.
Why?
Well, you have gold and you have silver.
Have you ever tried?
That's interesting.
Have you ever tried to color silver?
Yeah, I'm an artist,
Uh-huh.
and I know if I want silver, I'm gonna mix a sort of a gold shade
White with gray or
with
something
gray.
like that?
Yeah, yeah. And remember also, I'm an electrical engineer, so we have to know the color spectrum to
The
give you,
RGB thing, the
yes,
RGB thing, yeah.
yeah, to give you, the breakdown of the color, why you can have a color television, blah, 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 blah. So that is why, and again, my main point is that when you look at this closest star in our proximity, you look at it and it does not represent white.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Yeah. We got to take a break,
Oh,
and we'll come back.
I could imagine. I could imagine the poor people, kids included, who gonna be
We're broadening their
trying to
thinking
overtake it. But
horizon.
That's
anyway,
all we need to do.
That's all we're doing, broadening their thinking
That's
horizon.
all we need to do. We don't need to. They don't even have to even come to any conclusion.
No, they can decide to leave it as it is,
Yeah,
Mr.
they don't even have to come to a
McMahon. But
conclusion.
now they
They
see
don't
it
even have
from
to
a
accept
yeah,
my
but now
point
they
of
see
view.
it from a better perspective. Yeah.
yeah, it's not all the time that you tickle the mind and then you come up with an outcome that you like.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from.
Thank you, man.
So we'll
Right.
take a bit of. You
Yeah.
can call back anytime you
Yes,
feel.
please.
Because I heard you say you have another topic you want to
Yeah,
bring to the
yeah,
fore. Okay.
yeah.
So we'll take a bit of a commercial break right now, and we'll be right back.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
If you need protection, you need one who you can trust. To secure your investment, you need one who'll do you just. TDC Insurance, you're the one that you can trust. TDC Insurance, you're always safe with us.
TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind.
You're always safe with us.
Don't throw those bottles away. Turn them into money today. Vitamalt bottles equal cash in your pocket. It's super easy. Just take those empty Vitamalt bottles to any Cara Brewery distribution truck or any drinks depot in St. Kitts and Nevis. We're keeping our beautiful Twin Island paradise clean. Vitamalt bottles equal cash back. Keep it clean, keep it green. Vitamalt bottle returns. Your bottles, your cash, your island.
People make the world go.
Yeah, and we're back again. Back over to you, Mr. Hamilton.
I appreciate the conversation with Mr. McCall, the perspective. I'm gonna point out a couple more inconsistencies. When they said somebody is willing to surrender, they put up a white flag.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to be white. They also say white supposed to mean peace.
Yeah.
But who has entrusted more violence and barbarism on people? You know, if you're going to then move to dealing with black people, white people, rather than Caucasian or Negroid or whatever, if you're going into those vernaculars of color, because it's the meeting of the people and the color spectrum that reinforce racism in a language.
Yeah.
It's not just happenstance. So there's no something is not pure about white and pure about thing. It is the language that tells you that, because people will tell you that outer space is dark, it's black, and it's polluted with light. Yeah, I'm just showing you these kind of things. That's the science of it. So the purity of space, okay, is when the light goes into it, that the light changes it to something else. I'm just trying to show you that there is an inconsistency when you want to say that white is a flag that you can surrender with, yet I am about to see hope, and look at the word liberty. So you're going to say to me that I must see freedom, another word for liberty, freedom in the symbol or the color white. There is there is an inconsistency somewhere there. And if you can't do philosophy or psychology, then do logic. And where there is an inconsistency in the logic of your communication, you must address it. It is not a discrepancy, it's an inconsistency. And where there is an inconsistency, I say that is fatal. White cannot symbolize freedom for black people. White cannot symbolize liberty for a black nation. It is an inconsistency.
And
so let us go to a silver lining of with the star then. Let us say that the silver lining, you know, you talk about silver lining as a phrase, philosophy.
Yeah, which means hope.
Which means hope.
Yeah.
Let's do something, man. We can do better. To whom much is given, much is expected. If you have an intellect, you can't say you can evolve, you can't change, you can't make a little amendment, a little adjustment, because it's there, leave it. That's not us.
Especially, Mr. Hamilton, when, as you say, there is the inconsistency. Let's look at it from a historic perspective. How can white be a representation of hope for the black individual when white has been the biggest oppressor?
Man.
It doesn't make any sense.
We're not talking about the stars. We're not talking about the design of the flag. We're talking about what you're communicating into the future.
By way of color.
By chromaticisms.
Yeah.
And I'm basically saying it needs an adjustment. It needs a little tinkering. You know, the formula need a little brush up. What? Is all of a sudden people capable of thinking or thought? It is not esoteric. It is not out there. You see, that is what they say of intelligence. Some people have intelligence, some people have gut instinct. Some people have instinct. Some people are luminaries, some people are geniuses. But other people, they're out on a limb. You must be able to trust your wisdom and your understanding and your knowledge. Your parents and your school quit to think and to apply that thinking, apply that knowledge, apply that know-how to situations, to facts.
Okay, let's look at it this way. You thought of it. I told you I spoke of it before. You think you and I are the only two individuals who have thought of it? No, not in a vast world of so many different individuals. I think the problem comes in when someone says, leave it alone.
Yeah.
The person doesn't even say, okay, I see where you're, which he said in the end, I see where you're coming from, but just don't say, leave it alone, because you didn't just come and say the flag shouldn't be white. You explained why it shouldn't be white for a black people. If Caucasians want to do a flag and they want to do it and leave it, the star, to represent white, that is good for them. But for us, it is just like we as a black people have been saying from time immemorial that we do not want a white Jesus with blue eyes to represent us as a black people. God must be in our image. You see, that again is another thing that people say, leave it alone because, you know, you're just bringing up controversy. There are better things to discuss. But it goes to the psyche and the psychology of the indoctrination over time. Why is it that everything you hear about Black Africa, Darkest Africa, which means primitive, and yet still everything that the established world is depending on is coming out of that dark, primitive Black Africa? The gold, the uranium, the plutonium, you know, everything, but yet still you've chosen to label it. So yes, I agree with you, Mr. Chesley, that we should be thinking in a progressive manner.
And like I said, I am trying to get the conversation flowing. You know, you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to come to the same conclusion. A matter of fact, you could be totally opposite. That's fine. That's your choice. That's why we live in a democracy. Um, you may want to look at the Australian flag, which has the Big Dipper, or you look at the New Zealand flag, which has the Small Dipper. If you're dealing with stars, yes, they still have certain relics of the Union Jack in their flag, but that's their choice. They want to show that hereditary connection to their, if they want to call it their motherland or whatever. We have all of those adages bestowed on us. We are the mother colony, we are this, we are that. We have all of those things. We were the first British settlement in this side of the world. We have all of that adage and legacy carrying. I am simply saying when you're dealing with the future, white cannot symbolize hope and liberty. It cannot symbolize freedom. No. Something is inconsistent, inherently, totally inconsistent with that logical thinking. And therefore, you make a logical leap. If you make a logical leap, a logical error, you can be human enough,
Mature enough.
yeah, to say no. We can deal with it. It is like our coat of arms. I remember when they deal with it, one of the things that they did, they turn around the arms, the hands, to make the darker hand come around in the coat of arms. Little things, little adjustments. You know, they didn't leave it the same way. You must be able to say, this more represent me. This more represent us. You know, we didn't leave the flag that was there with the black palm tree. You know, I said, no, we're not going to be represented by a palm tree in our flag. You know, so we got rid of that, even though it was, I think, green, yellow, and blue.
Yeah, I think it
You
was.
know, well, that was a statehood flag. We didn't evolve with that, with a black palm tree in the middle. We said no, we wanted something else, and we brought something more liberating and conscious in the design, and I love our flag. Let me say this again. I love the flag. But because I love the flag doesn't mean I can't critique. I ain't say criticize. I cannot critique the flag. And it's not the design. The design still stand. But if you're going to tell me the stars symbolizes, and the stars are quote unquote white. And I'm only bringing it up because we have been labeling the weeks leading up to independence. And I think on the week of the 19th, that the color that we're going to be wearing is going to be white. You understand?
Yeah.
So on Independence Day, you know, they are asking you to be flagged in white. You know, and they didn't leave it to you to choose. They didn't say, well, since it's liberty, you're liberal to wear any color on that day. You know, they simply saying, we are urging you to wear the white for the. They didn't say wear black. You know, wear black on that day.
And notice black is associated with death and burial.
Oh yeah, the negativity. You know, they have added a bad and wrong connotation to black. Anything that is black is bad. Yet their inconsistency. You know, if you're in the black, you know, as opposed to in the red,
Yeah.
you know, in the green, you know, there's certain things on the chromatic language and discourse which are inconsistent, and they're only inconsistent when they refer to white and white people. And you need to know that. You need to spot racism in the language. You know, blackmail is a crime. Oh, don't blackmail me. What? Male is supposed to be white? You know, a good male is a white male. I just want you to think through these things. You are now charged not only with blackmail. We have taken that out of the vernacular, and we now have extortion. You know, you don't want to start me. Maybe, you know, we
So
use a different phrase.
it takes
which is
the color.
extortion.
Yeah, it takes the color out
So
of
if,
it.
if you could move and evolve the nomenclature to extortion rather than blackmail, there are other things that you could move the language. If you are asked to take sexism out of the language, well, the poor chromatic isms that are negative towards a people, you could take those out of the language too. How you tell, oh, me and the black sheep in the family. What's wrong with the black sheep? The meat tastes different.
Well, let me say this, Mr.
They
Hamilton.
make a different kind of wool that is inferior. Continue.
Let me say this, and you might disagree with me on this, but I'm going to put it out there because I've always said, to further, you've opened up a little bit of a can of worms here.
Yes.
To further the debate, I've always said that our higher institution of learning should evolve to the point where it changes its name from the University of the West Indies to perhaps the University of the Caribbean or something like that, because we know that there is no such place as the West Indies in this proximity. We know Columbus came, blundered, then glossed it over with lies, and here's our major institution of learning, and we're carrying on perpetuating that lie.
He tried to reach the India, and he said he can go that way. I mean, he was half right, you know, and he set out to prove that, certain things. And right, if that is East Indies and this is West Indies, you know, it's an evolution. You move from the Indies.
No, we're going to go on the premise of history and what he put forward.
I agree. I agree with
he
you.
wound up in the wrong place.
Yes.
And he went back to Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand, and he did not tell them he wound up in the wrong place. He said he changed the name.
He found the East.
Yeah.
He found
That's
another
it.
set of Indies, which is
Yeah.
the West ones.
Well, and so the Indies is not in the West. So he lied, and we're perpetuating that lie.
Well, you need to have those necessary footnotes, those necessary explanations, so that you're not miseducating the people. And that's what I ask. I just don't want you to miseducate people. Too often we try to miseducate and say leave it alone. As long as you can, you know, embrace anything knowingly, that's up to you. There's some N-words and so forth. I hear people calling one another and so on. If you want to call yourself those kind of things knowingly, I hear people calling themselves different animals, different descriptions of animals.
Yeah. Dogs, bitches.
You're the DOJ, the big dog. If you want to call yourself them things,
Calling our women
yeah, female dogs.
Female dogs. Yeah.
You understand? If you want to knowingly do any of that,
That is for
that
you.
is the liberal. You have the liberty within a democracy to objectify yourself in ways that you so choose. I mean, that's me. I just don't want to be no dog.
But here it is too. When they came to this proximity, they met the Kalinagos or whatever. Why we have the Caribbean Sea, right? We are existing in the Caribbean Sea, but yet still you call it the West Indies. So you take it further. Why couldn't you just say we are in the Caribbean, as we are saying now as a people? We say we are Caribbean people, we exist in the Caribbean, but yet still our higher, this is where I'm putting the emphasis, you know, the higher institution of learning still chooses to call itself. Because I'm sure that this topic might have come up and there were individuals on the higher echelon who said the very same thing. Man, leave it alone, you know, there are more important things to deal with. But when you're dealing with the conscious evolution of a people, especially young people who are asking questions, you've got to evolve with them.
And when you're teaching courses like the history, whether it's political history or whatever, the narratives that you choose to put forward, whether from the victor or from the victims, you know,
Is
you need to
important.
be able to know the language that you're using and the words that you use that are meant to be descriptive or futuristic or projective. You know, you need to make sure that these words are chosen well, because you know, a book that was written in 1955, if it's still being applied today, the language is not going to be the same, you know, and the way it treated the facts. I caution that you must always, that is why you have new editions,
Yeah.
revisions.
Yes.
That is why you update things. You have to be able to do that. You know, things that were, you know, some of us went to school when they say he means she. You know, you can't do that today. You have to be gender neutral. Well, if you could be gender neutral, I want you to be chromatically sensitive and chromatically neutral. You can't come tell me about anything about white elephant and white lie. You understand? And these sort of things on any spectromic scale. I mean, you know that white is a combination of colors.
Yeah.
In the spectrum. You know, you have to mix certain colors to get it. It is not pure. So I'm just showing you all of these things that are inconsistent. But when you try to combine white and Caucasian within a language of the Caucasian people, in order to make people feel inferior, you have a problem. And when you're dealing with decolonization, when you're dealing with liberation, you have to be careful of the subliminal and the subconscious lessons that you are putting forward
And
as
those,
education.
and those lessons were intentional. That's the thing. This is why we can't just leave it alone. Those lessons were intentional. They intentionally did. How is it that all of these things, black lie, white lie, white elephant, whitewash, blackmail, all of these things fit in by just chance? Let's look at this also, Mr. Hamilton. Recently,
White tie, white tie affair
Yeah.
is superior to a black tie affair.
yes, but let's look at this. Recently, with what we see happening and the enlightening of a lot of Africans and African leaders, recently the African Union put out a map that represented Africa in its true size. A lot of people over the years looking at the map didn't realize that the representation of Africa did not represent its true size. They put Africa in such a way that America, North and South America, look bigger than Africa.
Yep.
Certain places like Iceland and so forth look bigger than Africa. Europe, and so is that just by chance?
No, it's by design.
Yeah.
You know.
And now you see that Africa, in its true size, is bigger than North and South America and certain other continents combined.
Yes.
So these are the things, as you spoke, we should evolve. We should have reassessments. We should have new editions as we advance forward. So we're going to take a bit of a commercial break, and I'm going to remind Mr. McMahon, who I'm sure is still listening, that he can interject at what time, because I'm curious as to hear what he has on his mind.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9 Win FM.
If you need protection, you need one who you can trust to secure your investment. You need one who'll do you just. TDC Insurance, you're the one that you can trust. TDC Insurance, you're always safe with
Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind. You're always safe with us.
Don't throw those bottles away. Turn them into money today. Vitamalt bottles equal cash in your pocket. It's super easy. Just take those empty Vitamalt bottles to any Cara Brewery distribution truck or any drinks depot in St. Kitts and Nevis. We're keeping our beautiful Twin Island paradise clean. Vitamalt bottles equal cash back. Keep it clean, keep it green. Vitamalt bottle returns. Your bottles, your cash, your island.
People make the world go
And we are back. The time 13 minutes moving away from the 11 o'clock. Back over to you, Mr. Hamilton. But before you start, let me also interject another thing that is in the news. In our zone of peace, we seem to be having an interjection of potential war.
Yeah. Now, the whole issue of the United States and dealing with warships in the Caribbean and what's going on. Now, we've been, I'm going to flip something, flip a switch. You know, because be careful what you ask for. We've been saying we need help with guns and drugs. And now that we have resources and assets in the Caribbean to deal with narco trafficking and perhaps, only perhaps, some of the illegal guns that might be dealing with, we might be saying, well, no, it's under a pretext to invade Venezuela. Well, where are we going to be? Sometimes you get both. Every war might be sometime overland, no matter where it is. But it's after World War I that you got the voting rights of women and other things. After World War II, you got universal suffrage and a number of other things. I'm not trying to tell you that there are benefits when there is a war. A war is never good. People die. It's an evil thing when you have to go to war and kill and bloodshed. But there are some, I don't want to say, it's not like collateral damage. There are some things that flow out from eras of war when there is peace. The technology evolve and so on. I'm not saying any of this is going to come of what is going on in the Caribbean at this juncture. I'm just trying to put my comments into a context. The pretext might be to deal with Venezuela, but if consequence to that, we get a little easement from the flow of illegal drugs and a little easement from the flow of illegal guns, sometimes we have to take one with the other and marry it. I'm not asking for no war. I'm not asking for no invasion of Venezuela. You understand me? Yes, we are a zone of peace, but if in the interim, with assets in the Caribbean, you're going to get that relief from the narcotic trade and from the guns, I'm going to take that as long as it doesn't reach the point of there being any invasion or any war with Venezuela trying to affect regime change in Venezuela. No matter what you may think about Maduro, no matter what you think about the last election, that is a problem for the Venezuelan people. That is an issue for the Venezuelan people to deal with. If you respect people, if outside interference is going to go in to try to deal with Venezuela's internal regime and internal politics, I don't think that with the terrain of Venezuela, if we struggle in places like Afghanistan, if we struggle in other places when we go there to fight war, I can't see nobody going to fight war in Venezuela and Maduro mobilizing 4 million people, that the outcome is going to be anywhere near good.
And remember, other Latin American countries some of them are beginning to side with him.
Fallout of that will be felt in this region for too many years.
But let me go along the line that you started in terms of the decrease in guns and drugs in our region. Let's take that back to the United States of America.
Please. Yes,
during the Clinton era, and that went off into the Bush era when they used that same premise to say war on drugs. Mm-hmm. And again, to go back to we're going to fit things in like a puzzle, to go back to what you use in terms of white right, white might. You realize that the war on drugs was never about a war on drugs.
It was a pretext, and that's why I use that phrase. It was a means of funding, was it against the Sandinistas in
overthrow
Nicaragua
the Sandinistas, yeah.
And it almost brought down the Reagan regime with Oliver North and those kind of guys. It was to find a way, because Congress didn't give them any budget. It was a way to get the narcotics into the United States, into certain communities,
yes,
and use that illegal money to fund the government activities, the U.S. government activities in Central America.
Yeah.
And the issue was the Congress was not to know that, and neither was the president.
Yeah.
So... I'm just.
So again, it goes back to be careful what you ask for.
I said that.
Yeah.
Because now you might be giving them a pretext to do something else, and you might not know the real goal.
Their intentions.
Is the real goal the reserves of the largest oil reserves in the world, which is a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
That's Venezuela.
Yeah.
Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world, but. Should some people in South America be sitting on that kind of wealth? Nah, that's supposed to be sitting, in the ivory towers of Manhattan and elsewhere.
Yeah.
So that is what that might be about.
Just like Haiti's gold reserve was not good enough to stay in Haiti.
No, not at all.
America took it to protect it, and it hasn't gone back.
Now they can't get back.
Hello, caller.
Yes, calling again.
Yes, sir.
The issue that I wanted to raise, actually, it was about the special sustainability zone, okay? And why I wanted to take it up at this point was because of something that the AG said yesterday on another program that I called into, okay? One of the things he said was that, well, they're presenting the bill as uncontroversial, and they're saying that it's premature to be concerned. Okay, we're crying wolves. Well, firstly, for a bill such as this, it is very important to note what's not there, just as it's important to see what's there.
Yeah.
Which bill are you talking about?
Special Sustainability Zone.
Oh,
bill.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, authorization bill. I think that's the name. It's just as important to observe what's not there as what's in it. Okay? To me, the bill was sufficiently vague, okay, as to suggest that, well, it can catch all, right? It can facilitate a lot of good stuff, but it can also facilitate a lot of bad stuff. And the way that it was rolled out, to me it was with great haste. And also, the way the proposed development in Nevis has unfolded do not give us confidence that these guys are above board. Okay? The impression of transparency is just not there. And neither is accountability. The government, both the NIA and the federal government, are on the defensive. One seemed to, the NIA seemed hard-pressed to justify its approach on this, where it seemed to be waiting for the developers to get sufficient land to start their development before it just seemed as if it was creeping up under the radar before actually coming to the public with what was being done. And to me, the federal government seemed to want to wash their hands of the implications of this bill, what this bill can
bring about.
Yeah, bring about in the future.
Yeah.
Right? They both want to hide behind the same narrative. Right? They tell you we want facts, not fiction. Right? Discussing any possibilities, discussing any possibilities, they say is premature.
But let me ask you this,
it's
though.
like they want us to see the mushroom cloud before we raise alarm. You're saying something?
I wanted to ask you this because you said the Attorney General made a statement. So with what you said, he said, and there's no need for alarm. Did he in any way say what this proposed zone, what the investment would be, one, who the investments would be, two, give any suggestion as to a financial amount, like perhaps an investment of X amount of, dollars or whatever? Did he give any of those?
No, he didn't give details.
This again fits into why we are concerned.
Right, but he's making it seem as if all those things are premature. When the development, when they have the proposal, they have to go before Parliament, he's saying, and so we'll know the details, etc., there. And that is when, we should be concerned. That is when we should express our reservations if necessary. Well, I think that would be too after the fact.
Not only would it be too after the fact, I will go out there and say it would be nonsense. It is like someone comes and says, I'm going to bring a business. I want a piece of land. You go to Parliament and you reach so far as to passing a bill, but you can't tell me nothing about the business and what it will bring. But I'm not supposed to be concerned?
And the Attorney General seemed to be very hesitant to say, I guess because it would appear that this bill was really in response to the development that is coming, as opposed to the other way around. Okay? That's why I was very defensive about it. But I called into the program mainly to express my concern about the government generally seem to be more inclined to appease investors than look after the interests of local people. Okay? And he said something very revealing. First of all, he got a bit personal with me and said, I hated government. I think that government is the worst thing that can happen. And that's not true. It's not that I hate government. I don't hate it. I think there are very few things I hate. And certainly government is not one of them. I don't trust government. I feel the need checks and balances. I feel when you put people in power
and I agree
they're
with you.
inclined to overreach and abuse that. And so there should be strictures on them. That is what I really believe in. Okay, I don't trust them, and history has borne out why my mistrust is justified.
Yeah.
Okay, it reminded me of another encounter we had it might be years ago actually, with me and him on the program on same winnfm. When he said, I think he said nobody is interested in anything like the Panther class and the masses and what happened in history. I mean, from the time he said that, my ears and eyes popped. Okay, because that told me, notwithstanding his background and lineage, it is clear he struggled both sides.
Yeah.
And it was also clear what side he was on. So that when, in the same program yesterday, he said, this government is pro-business, and then tempered it and said, this government is pro-people. Instinctively, you knew which one came first.
Yes.
And instinctively, you knew where his allegiance really lies. Okay? And so I just, and maybe Chesley can weigh in on this if he think it's not too
controversial, too hard to touch. Hot potato for his hands.
You see, what I was interpreting from the encounter yesterday was that he said the government, but I would say the Labour Party itself, is undergoing a metamorphosis, right? And I'm wondering if the Attorney General isn't part of this in terms of just what they used to call the guy in the Communist Party who used to deal with philosophy. I've forgotten the term they used to use for it.
Go ahead. It will come.
Yeah, right. But basically, the person that keeps the party on the straight and narrow, make sure that the philosophy is intact, that the values and so on remain, those kinds of things. And I am seeing a totally different Labour Party now, right? Where one, it's more individualistic. They're not dealing with issues as you would expect a Labour Party to deal with them. Okay.
Mr. McMahon, I want you to pause a bit so that Chesley can come in, because you're saying a lot and we don't want to lose the chain of thought. We can have a conversation. Mr. Chesley?
Yeah.
Yeah, this piece of legislation, if I know someone said 500 acres, but it's more like 6 square miles.
Yeah. And that's minimum, the 500 acres is minimum.
Right.
They have not put a maximum amount to this thing. That again is of concern.
It is 20% of the island of Nevis. And when you put it in that context, I like universality, Chesley. I like universality. If you're going to take away individual rights to go anywhere, you must go to universality. The minute you start to have enclaves, you're going into what I call apartheid.
Exactly.
And I mean that. I believe in universal rights. I believe in protections of individual rights. I believe in protecting the minority from the tyranny of the majority. So therefore, once you're going to take away individual rights, you must go into universality. Now I say all that to say what? If you go to St. Martin, it's a duty-free jurisdiction, universality. But when you're going to give one set of people certain rights and certain exemptions and certain, because they're in certain enterprise zones. And they could bring in orange juice duty free and sell it at 5 US a glass. I have to bring in the same orange juice, be taxed, and I could only sell it at $2 EC a glass. But I'm paying taxes, I'm paying freight, I'm paying everything. I use that as an example to say why I don't like these special exemptions. I don't like enclaves. It is another way of dealing with gated community. You know, I had certain people on the inside of Ubege and the inside of, what has now evolved into Christoph Harbour. And one of the things that they said in the early days of that development is that they wanted it to be a gated community. But what changed their mind was when, with an Easter weekend, and they saw the masses of people that goes over to the peninsula to use the beaches.
I remember that.
They realized there is no way they could make over there a gated community. And that slowed down their thinking and their understanding of what they can do in St. Kitts and what they cannot do. I am saying that I know people who have land in the area in Nevis. I know they have been approached to sell their land. And I'm going to say this, if the Premier had to go and make a broadcast, it means he was ahead of with his messaging. He wasn't ahead with his consultation. He is now reacting and responding.
Yeah, I agree.
And when you're reacting and responding, more often than not, you already lost the fight. Because all the people who are leading the debate, what they have to do is to keep on moving the message and moving what you have to respond to.
And you're going to keep on reacting.
It is similar to the land for debt swap. Denzel was behind in his messaging. And he complicated it when he was talking on the John Paul issue. What you want me to do, sell you?
Yeah.
So he started to lose the message. He started losing the message. And he lost the message right up to that election. Because he couldn't sell what he was trying to do. Sometime after that, I came and I said, land for debt swap was a stroke of genius because it took land that government had over here and put it in another entity over here that government owns, and it actually reduced our debt ratio. So it was a stroke of genius because the international world could not no longer say that we are in debt of such a percentage of GDP, because by moving it from one government entity on the books to another entity on the books, it reduced it, and as Denzel said, it went poof, but he couldn't explain it. He couldn't explain not even his good intentions.
But why couldn't he explain it?
Because he was arrogant with power and the message. You see, sometimes you think right is might. Sometimes you think because you're correct, you don't have to explain yourself. But there's something I call a leadership gap, where because you are leading, there's this gap between you and the masses, and you don't know that you have to bring your message down to a grade 8 level or whatever level the people are at in order to bring them along. That is what happened to Denzel. He had that communication gap, and he didn't know how to fill it. And therefore, the other message came in there. Oh, the Guinea where we land, and who could afford to buy land at so much per acre, and this and that, and all sort of different things. He lost the message. I'm saying that to say, if the Premier in Nevis has good intentions, and they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions, But if he has good intentions, he has already lost the communication war because he's responding. And he didn't come and explain to the people what is going on there, what will be going on, and why he wants this place to be so deemed.
And he has not done that even up to now.
And that's the point. So don't come and listen to me. If the messaging in that gap comes to the point where, listen to me, you are hiding something, people are getting suspicious. Your wife is involved, yes, in a legitimate business, but she stands to gain substantial if she has exclusivity in terms of the sale and so on.
And how did she know
People begin
this?
to say, no, this seems like your super honorarium. You want a golden parachute to go, and this is your golden parachute. So people start saying these sort of things, and they're looking at you. No, I mean, sure, other people have sold their land, but some people are saying no, they are not selling their land, and you say, well, we're not forcing anybody to sell their land. But what are those people's benefit in the enterprising zone? Are they? It's the same within the zone as the major developer.
But hear this, Mr. Chesley. You said people aren't going to be forced to sell their land, but yet still you pass a special sustainability zone authorization bill. How do you explain that?
And why is this a special zone as opposed to me who live in Charlestown? Why is not Charlestown a historic zone with most of those benefits and so on? People are going to ask the question. You have to be prepared to answer the questions. You could come and have a press conference and bring a press kit answering some of the questions. And then you follow up. Messaging is important. And the people, they have a right to ask the tough question in a democracy.
Yeah.
You need a free press as the Fourth Estate. And if you're going to choose to live in a country with or without a free press, you must choose to live in the one with a free press. So don't get upset because the press asks tough and hard questions. As a matter of fact, those are the things that should be encouraged. Don't get upset. I cannot speak because I don't have all the information about what is going to go on in Nevis. And I'm not going to pass the buck and say that's a matter for the Nevis people. You understand? And the people in Nevis. And because my citizenship says St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yeah.
My citizenship, everybody in Nevis, they have the same passport I have. So I'm saying all that to say, it is a federation matter that all of us should be part of and all of us should have something to say. I don't like other people getting benefits and privileges that I don't have. Mm-hmm. I don't like it. If they're going to get duty-free, I want duty-free. If they're going to get VAT-free holiday and exemption, I want that too. So let's go to universality. Let us go to universality, please. Because if that is good for the economy, it should be good for all the people. That is my contribution to that.
Okay, hold Mr. McMahon. There's another caller. I at least want to hear their voice. Hello, caller. Okay, they hang up now. They're waiting. So you can go ahead, Mr. McMahon.
Yeah, I'm saying, initially, if what is being proposed in Nevis is so great for the island, you would have thought that an approach would have been made whereby the proposal is explained to the people, and people are urged to buy into it in some way. And how it was done, it basically disadvantaged people in the sense that it basically gave the idea that, well, nothing really going on there. And so people would sell the land at current market prices. But from the time you know that a development is coming, obviously the value of the land is going to go up. So there was this, it's almost as if, well, you don't say anything because, you know, it's facilitating the developer to be able to buy land at the cheaper rate. That is what I mean when I say that they seem to facilitate the investor more than the local, the local person. Okay, and the, 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 with regard the numbers that he was talking about, 7 to 10,000 people at any time. And these are people with high net worth. You know our situation. Who got money talk? Okay, money talk. Can you imagine our whole, the complexion, the character, our culture, everything changing if the population of Nevis is virtually almost doubled by these people with high net worth? Right? It must have consequences.
And whose
We should be prepared.
whose constituency is that going to be in the future? if they are citizens. One of the things he said is that the developer is a citizen. You could be an economic citizen. I mean, doesn't mean that you're not a citizen. So who is this citizen?
No. But remember, these are people who are going to be living here, who's resident here. It's not even the run-of-the-mill economic citizen. You can't tell these people they can't vote.
Ah, yeah. No,
I mean,
and I've read some of the clauses, but I haven't seen anything to do with the waste that is generated in that area. You know, whether it's garbage or green waste.
I mean, normally when you talk about sustainability, you have to deal with those kinds of matters. But this is supposed to be a high-end development, very luxurious, and you know that luxury is associated with opulence and waste and excesses.
And sewage.
Not sustainability. So there's a contradiction in terms there. Okay? But be that as it may, though. Be that as it may. You mentioned the messaging. I don't know if at this point it will have they can change anything, because I suspect that they still feel that they can just bulldoze their way through this. That I think the Premier sold it as, well, imagine 4 seasons. You've seen what good 4 seasons have done to the island. This is 4 seasons plus. Okay? When you sell it like that, you know.
But let me ask you and Chesley a question. Is this enclave anywhere like 4 Seasons? No. So why use these assimilations? Why try to, as if they were fools?
It will work. It will work with gullible people. I mean, that's the thing, and that's the whole thing I'm getting, right? They even doing the developers marketing for them, right? They should be looking after our interests to make sure that whatever goes there is with our interests in mind, not the developers. And I think part of the reason for this, is that both the NIA and the federal government have been stung by criticism that they have not been able to entice, to attract foreign direct investment. And it's almost like whatever comes now, they grab.
But you mean, okay, I hear what you're saying, but this is the worst. This is the worst that you can offer in terms of investment for whom? For the advancement of St. Kitts Nevis? When you have, and when I listen to Mr. Brantley speak, when you listen to his wording, because he tends to say that the majority of people can't understand basic English, plain English. But when you listen to Mark Brantley, if you listen to his wording, he's saying that this seems to be a trend for the future.
Yeah.
He said in his
such a big game changer. All the more reason that people should be involved, not just the Nevis Island Assembly,
yeah.
or the Parliament. more people should be involved. If this is so, and he made it a point of saying this for one of a kind, first of a kind. When you use in terms like that, it is suggesting that you have to make sure that the whole community is involved in what is about.
And
to
he used,
change,
and he
what is
also,
about to happen.
and he also used terms like game changer, and we know
Yeah.
this could be a game changer. But he said in the parliament down here that I heard him say he did not want this to be something that any and anybody could be a part of, in terms of this, special zone facilitation bill. But yet still he goes over to Nevis, and then he says, but because again, as Mr. Chesley said, he finds that he's losing his argument, so he's reacting now, and he goes over to Nevis, having said that, look, we don't want this to be something that any and anybody can just come and say, well, But then he goes over to Nevis and he said, but for the local man, if you have 5 acres and you want to, you could apply for the. So what is he saying really? He's contradicting himself.
To me, the whole thing is fraught with a lot of problems that they really should iron out. Because everybody agrees that it would be nice to have a game changer, to have development, to go a different direction. But you don't just go off on your own into some direction, into the unknown, without planning, without
consultation.
And without looking at possible consequences. And that is what I find obnoxious. They want you to keep silent. They want to say that you're fear-mongering and all these things because you're not looking, because you say you're trying to bring out what the pitfalls can be. I mean, that isn't government.
But again, Mr. McMahon, I see Chesley just sitting there like he's reflecting. I want him to be a part of the conversation. So again,
Chesley, I hope you're not looking at the millions of bucks that this possibly could mean for your profession, right? Because that's the other thing. Too often, people look at it in terms of self-interest.
Yeah.
Look at these things in terms of self-interest rather than the public good.
As the individual who said, cash is better than land.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chesley, let's hear your input.
If you got cash, right, sometimes you can't get land. But I know if you got land, it's easier to get cash.
Okay.
The issue is, I don't look at things in terms of my profession. I would tell people you can't be a tax lawyer if you don't have a tax client. Mm-hmm. And if people have corporate commercial clientele, that's fine. It has never been an area that I make a living. That's up to those who practice in that area, and I wish them well. I don't think. I have made what you call a poverty practice, where I represent poor people when they come up against the state. It's that simple. Poor people who come up against the state. And I will tell you this. Many of them are at 1840, they're not working, they can't afford to pay for their representation. We don't have a formal legal aid system. The only time the government wants to pay is for capital matters, which are, murders and so on, and they don't give those people bail. If they don't give you bail and they want to take your life or take away your liberty for life, they have a duty to pay that your due process of law, which includes the right to an attorney, is guaranteed. And not even that they want to pay for. They want to pay $10,000 for the most serious case in the criminal court. These matters used to be fit for 2 lawyers. The judge nowadays doesn't want to appoint 2 lawyers to do any murder case. He said you could do it because it's one person. Yet the DPP's office coming with 3 and 4 lawyers to prosecute the matter, and you alone, as a defense counsel, is responsible for dealing with the liberty and the life of that person. I'm just showing you how we don't have equality of arms. We don't have equality of arms. The Attorney General has said to me, Chesley Hamilton, that he's bringing in a public defender system so that the government doesn't have to pay lawyers like me that kind of money, meaning the $10,000 and $15,000 per case, plus $1,000 for every day of the trial. That kind of money. For him, that is a lot of money. For the government to be paying for the government attempting to take the life and liberty of a citizen. And the sad thing is, another citizen has already lost their lives. There is no case that is as serious as a murder trial. One citizen lost their life, and another citizen's life is in jeopardy. Yet the Attorney General says he's bringing in a public defender system so that the government don't have to pay competent lawyers like me that kind of money. What kind of money? $15,000? I am simply telling that's the attitude. That is the attitude
So that
towards
means
poor
then,
people.
so that means then that this has to answer to Ms. McMahon's
And I'm going to
question
finish it by saying this.
in-
Public defender system to put people on salary to defend people's life who is at jeopardy by the state. In a small society like this, you are basically confining those people to a life at 1840 or the gallows. With all due respect, that's what you're saying. That the state is going to prosecute and the state is going to defend, so the state decide your faith. And I say that without any water in my mouth.
So
I am not making it up. I am simply telling you, it's here in my phone. The Attorney General told me he is bringing in a public defender system so that the government don't have to pay lawyers like me, them kind of money.
It's the almighty state, okay, that you're fighting against. But I don't want you to leave without at least giving a cursory comment on what I said about the change in face of the Labour Party.
But I have been saying that a long time ago. You have some petty bourgeoisies that are now taking over the Labour Party that do not know anything about the Labour Party or the Labour movement. You know, they would tell you that they've passed law to deal with the pension of auxiliary workers. But other than that, tell me what workers' right legislation they have dealt with. The Protection of Employment Act still covers the private sector. Government employees doesn't have that the same protection. Government employees don't have any protection. Virtually, you put somebody on vacation. I mean, I said it in here. I think it's you Quint, it was who commented when I said you have a lot of workers right now within government. They have letters from the Governor General in Council. They have letters from the Public Service Commission transferring them. Yet they've been sent home by PS and directors. Tell them go on leave with a thing. They have no protection over and over. And I said to you, I said to Quint at the time, I am quietly dealing with at least 10 of those matters. And I have not tried to take the government to court on them. Because when people are out of employment, many of them can't afford to pay lawyers. So I have been, and I'm not afraid to say publicly, I have had to send a number of them to Denzel Douglas's office as the senior minister in that cabinet. And he has been dealing with many of them, giving them representation at cabinet. And he has dealt with more than a handful of them already.
So that is why you tend to say he's the best lawyer in there?
That is, yes, you remember that. When I say he's one of the best lawyers, he is the best lawyer in cabinet. I told you that.
But Quinn,
Yeah.
I said it here on the show.
Mr. McMahon, go ahead.
but Quinn, that
But that should
is
never
not
be.
looking
I
at
should
the
not have
bigger-
to do that.
That is not looking at the
Not
bigger
with the Labour
picture.
government.
The bigger picture is that things like representation of the workers, union, for instance, have been sidelined.
Yeah,
Under a Labour administration.
I remember even asking Chesley about the representation of the ombudsman, and he asked me, well, who you think pays the ombudsman?
Right, and the ombudsman has been writing on some of these issues. The ombudsman will write to a PS, and the PS wouldn't even respond to the ombudsman.
There is no discipline. To me, there's no discipline in the government. You could consider this a criticism of Drew's, Dr. Drew's style. Yes, you can go overboard like what Timothy Harris and to some extent Douglas did in terms of keeping discipline in among the executive and the administration as a whole. But you can also go the other extreme, and I think right now it's almost as if everybody does as they like. And in those kind of, I listened to the CAPSEC yesterday, for instance, and I said, geez, you know, if it's one thing that hasn't changed with Labour administrations, it's arrogance. Okay? Yes. I mean, you know, I used to call it the arrogance of being right. When, you know, because Labour Party cause were usually good, they identified with the masses and so on, it came with a kind of arrogance to it.
Yeah.
That has not changed. But what has changed is this idea of, it's almost as if government within government or ministers doing as they like. There is no discipline, there is no control to keep things together. And I don't think that it's carrying us to a good place, to be quite honest. Right? It is the other extreme to the micromanagement and the hands-on that we're accustomed to in leadership here.
Well, let me go with you in terms of the other extreme.
You have to be doing your wrap up now
Yeah.
because yeah.
Let me go with you in terms of talking about the other extreme. We don't have an industrial court. We do not have an industrial tribunal. You know, the Labour Department isn't that. You need somewhere where if you are aggrieved on a job or as a worker, you must be able to go somewhere and apply for a remedy. There is no such thing, and you think that a Labour administration would be the one to say, this is something that we should do on behalf of workers. You know, no, you don't have it neither within the civil service or within the private sector that you could say, listen to me, I've been aggrieved on the job, I'm being wrongfully dismissed or something. You have to go to the normal courts. There is nothing. There must be an evolution of the process to say, listen to me, we need to have an industrial court, a court that deals with wrongful dismissal, a thing that deals with things that are done wrongly on the job, when you're being discriminated on the job, when things are like that. No. So I am really disappointed when it comes to the so-called Labour Party and its treatment of rights for the masses and for the workers in the country in terms of moving that process of justice and remedy and tribunal arbitration and mediation and so on behalf of workers. Workers too often have to go and look for lawyers and pay lawyers while they're being dismissed to advocate on their behalf. Workers that have been working for more than 12 years, 15 years. Some of them have been sometimes with the defense force for 15 years, and now they're going to fire our customs for another 10 or what is, and they want the years, and the government is telling them, no, you could only get the last set of years that you're working for. I mean, how a labor government could be telling people them kind of things there? When the person being transferred from one government institution to the next government institution with official communication, and you're telling them that they can't be dealt with fairly and equitably?
Too many of them are not grounded in the philosophy of the Labour Party. They couldn't care less about those things, right? There's too much opportunism, and I think too much of an individualism is involved right now. And in circumstances like that, you're not going to get the kind of changes that is necessary. Right? That's the long and short of it. It's not about collective stuff anymore. It's more about what's expedient, and it pervades the whole, not just the industrial relations in terms of industrial relations, the politics as well. It's what's expedient.
Yeah.
What's good for the moment.
We're going beyond hours, so I just want to wish everybody happy independence when it comes. And, go out and celebrate and be patriotic as usual. And I just want to say happy independence when it comes. And to those who are celebrating in September, happy birthday when it comes. Mrs. McCoy and Quint, have a good weekend.
Same
and may
to
God
you.
bless.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Take care, and that's how we end this chapter or this day of Inside the News.
98.9